We are now in the parsha of the parshiyot of Yosef HaTzadik. And these are very, very important parshiyos because they teach us a lot of Yesodis. I wasn't able last time that we met to go into Yosef because there's always a conflict between Miketz and Vayigash and Vayeshev with Hanukkah. So Hanukkah is very, very important. So to give something on Hanukkah, so last time I gave something on Hanukkah, and now I want to give something on the parsha of Yosef HaTzadik in jail, getting out of jail, and there's a very, very important Beis Halevi that explains what happened with Yosef, who Yosef was, and it gives us many, many Yesodis. We're talking the main thrust of the shirim of the last 3 years has been B'tochen, and this is a Yesodis Dika Beis Halevi on B'tochen. Who was the Beis Halevi? The Beis Halevi was the great-grandfather, the one who established the Brisker dynasty. The Briskers, it was Yosheber, Yosef Dov Ber, they call him Yosheber Soloveitchik, the first Yosheber Soloveitchik, right? His son was Chaim Soloveitchik, the famous Reb Chaim, whose son was the Briskerov, Yitzhak Zev Soloveitchik, Kitzer, and now we have all the Soloveitchiks, Meshulam David, and all the Briskers in Yerushalayim, Bekitzer. So he was the first Brisker.
Don't forget the daughter, which is Rebbetzin Feinstein.
Yeah. Rav Scheinberg, when he was in the Mir, so he went to the Brisker Rav's house. He had kasavim from Rav Chaim. He had kasavim from Rav Chaim, and he wanted to see that before they were printed. Stencils. Yeah. So he wanted to learn them. So he spent 3 days in the Brisker Rav's house, and the daughter, Rebbetzin Feinstein, the daughter of the Brisker Rav, was there. So years later, when Rav Feinstein, not Moshe Feinstein, it's Michal Feinstein. Michal Feinstein was also a chavrus of Rav Scheinberg in the Mir. So the Brisker Rav's daughter married Rav Michal Feinstein. She's called Rebbetzin Feinstein. So years later, when Rav Michal Feinstein, he came in, he immigrated to Eretz Yisrael. So he came to Yerushalayim, and Rav Scheinberg heard that he was there. So Rav Scheinberg went to pick him up with Asa, my friend Asa, and after they dropped off Rav Asa, after they dropped off Rav Scheinberg, so the Rav Scheinberg says, take him to the Kaisel. He wants to go to the Kaisel, so he went to the Kaisel. So he took him to the Kaisel, and as the Soloveitchiks are wont to do, they don't go very close to the Kaisel. They're chayshish. We're not chayshish. We go all the way up to the Kaisel, but they have a suffix where exactly the original boundary was. So they always stay like 11 amas away. So he stayed, a certain distance away, and he was speaking to Rebbetzin Feinstein. And Rebbetzin Feinstein said she remembers when Rav Scheinberg was visiting those 3 days when he was visiting in the house by the Brisker Rav, she never saw such a masmid. Wow. That's what she gave Ada. She never saw such a masmid. Now you're talking about the Brisker Rav and all the people that were around the Brisker Rav and the Brisker Rav himself, and she said that she never saw such a masmid. So it tells you who Rav Scheinberg was. Anyway, that's Agavorcha. So the Brisker Rav, the Beis Halevi, he's got a whole section on a shtickle on Miketz. Now we know the story of Yosef HaTzadik in Miketz. It's last week's parsha, but it's Nogeya. In Miketz, so it says that after 2 years, Miketz Notayim Yomim, after 2 years, so then the Paro had a dream, and we know the whole story. Well, we know the whole story. Yosef was sold down to Mitzrayim. He was bought by Potiphar, and he was in the house of Potiphar, and Potiphar saw that he was a very muslichtika person. He made him in charge of everything, and then Potiphar's wife started up with him, and then she framed him up and had him thrown in jail, and then he was in jail, and he became very matzliach over there, and he was like the second in command of everything that's going on in the prison. And after 10 years, this is 10 years, he was in prison 10 years, and the Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Oifim, so the baker and the Sarah Mashkim, the head butler, so they had the dreams, and Yosef interpreted the dreams, right? And then Yosef said to the Sarah Mashkin, Sarah Mashkin, I see from your dream that in 3 days you're going to get out, and of course, and Paro is going to lift your head up again to be an elevated person. You're going to be an elevated person again, a big shot in the government again, the Sarah Mashkin again, and I want you to remember me. Please remember me. I'm not such a bad guy. You see, I'm here. I was framed. I didn't do anything wrong. Put in a good word for me and get me out. Now, when he said, remember me, he didn't say it once, he said it twice. He said, remember me, remember me. Ooh. So because of that, he said, remember me, remember me. So the Chazal tell us that he was sentenced in Shemayim to another 2 years. He'd already been there for 10 years. No, he's got to spend another 2 years in prison. And then Paro had the dream, and the Sarah Mashkim remembered. There was a guy, the Ivri, and he was in jail, and he knows how to interpret dreams. And the rest is history. Now, how do the Chazal comment on this whole episode? So they say, this is a very important Chazal, the Medrash. The Medrash says, there's a pasuk, it says, Ashrei HaGevar she'som Hashem mivtachoi. Happy, Ashrei. Happy is the person who makes Hashem his trust. He has trust in Hashem and his mivtacho, and he relies on Hashem. Zeh Yosef. So the pasuk is already explaining that if you want to know who is the epitome, the paradigm of Baal B'tochen, it's Yosef. But then the pasuk says, "V'lo pona el Rehovim." He didn't turn. Now Rehovim is a difficult. We're not used to this word, so I looked it up. It means Bali Gaiva, people who are egoists, self-centered. A person that, if you ask him a favor, he's going to forget about it. Only, what's in it for me? That's the Rehovim. V'lo pana el Rehovim, that's the Egyptians. The Egyptians were very self-centered people. So he wasn't pana el Rehovim. So that's Yosef. And then the Medrash says, Sha'al yedei she'amar l'Sarah Mashkin, since he said to the Sarah Mashkin, Kiyim zachartani v'hiz kartani, twice he said, remember me. Nisvasif lo shtei shanim, he was added 2 years to his penalty, to his time in jail, another 2 years. So this is a Medrash. Remember, a Medrash is Chazal. It could be either Tanoim, it doesn't say who it is, it's a Medrash Rabbah. Medrash Rabbah could be either Tanoim or it could be Amoraim, it doesn't matter, but it's Chazal. And they are saying Yosef is the epitome of B'tochen, and he didn't turn to these Bali Gaiva, the Egyptians. And then it turns around and says, because he asked the Sarah Mashkin, remember me, he got an extra 2 years. Wait 1 second, you just told me he didn't turn to Rehovim. You told me there's a big Baal B'tochen. And now you're telling me because he didn't have B'tochen, it was l'chayra, it was a chasaron in B'tochen. What are you doing? Telling him, doing double Hishtadlus. Such Hishtadlus to get out. You're telling the Sarah Mashkin, remember me. It means you're relying on the Sarah Mashkin. So you are relying on the Sarah Mashma. Not such a big Baal B'Tach. The whole Medrash doesn't. Very strange. So based on this Medrash, in order to explain the Medrash, so the Beis Halevi says a very amazing statement. I'll read it to you because you have to hear how he phrases it. Dihine be'emes haTorah hitira la'odim hishtadlus b'tzorchei gufay. The Torah permitted a person to do hishtadlus, to do efforts for his personal needs, like it says, "Barachticha b'chol asher taseh." It says in the pasuk, I'll bless you in everything you do. V'yosafta d'gonecha, like in Parnasa. We know that the inyan of hishtadlus, that we do hishtadlus, is v'yosafta d'gonecha v'siroshcha. You're going to gather in. You're going to be a farmer. You're going to be involved in farming. You're going to have vineyards, and you're going to have wheat, and you're going to have oil, right? Rabbi Yishmael says that's what Rabbi Yishmael Mesechus Brachas. That's the first shir I gave with you was Rabbi Yishmael, and that's how we paskin like Rabbi Yishmael. Hanig behem minig derech eretz. That's the proper way to go. The proper way to go in the problem between how much betachin to have and how much hishtadlus to do is hanig behem minig derech eretz. Yes, you learn Torah. You didn't have to learn Torah, but you have to have some sort of source of parnasa. Hanig behem minig derech eretz. Not like Rishon Bar Yochai. So I'm looking at this Beis Halevi, and you know, when we learn something, you have to learn it like a Gemara. Okay, we have to learn it like a Gemara. Tihine, let me repeat it again. Hine be'emes haTorah hitira la'odim hishtadlus. The Torah permitted a person to do hishtadlus. I need permission? I need a heter? Hishtadlus is a heter. Really, it's usher. Really, hishtadlus is usher. The Torah had to go out of its way to give you a heter to do hishtadlus. Huh? I never learned like that. I learned, you have two different drachim. You have Shimon Bar Yochai. If a person's really got betachin, he's totally an Eved Hashem, and he's sitting and learning, Torah Yom Nosai, he's time of Shimon Bar Yochai, the Gra, the Ramban, these type of people, they're way up there, so they don't have to work for Kosh Baruch is going to take care of them, they're Hashem's army. But us normal people, we have to be involved in normal life, and normal life involves making a living. You have to have betachin also. But that's normal life to have. I need a heter to go to do hishtadlus. What's he talking about? What's he talking about? And then he says, based on this, the ikar inyan yesh lomer dezehu klal leish Yisraeli. Really, a person should have total betachin like Shimon Bar Yochai. Total betachin like the Gra. The Gra was Shimon Bar Yochainik, and his sheet of betachin was based on the Ramban. I've discussed all this. There's different. There's the Chavos Halavavis, the way of understanding the Chiv Hishtadlus, and then there's Ramban's way of Chiv Hishtadlus, and the Gra, and Shimon Bar Yochai against Rabbi Yishmael, and the Gemara passes like Rabbi Yishmael. For us, we have to do Rabbi Yishmael. We have to have some sort of source of parnasa, right? What's the reason we need a source of parnasa? Really, you should be boiteach in Hashem. That's what the Beis Halevi says. Really, you should be boiteach in Hashem. Why did the Torah have to matir you to go do hishtadlus? Because we're not holding on that madrega. Come on, if you ask me, if I would sit and do nothing and I wouldn't have a source of parnasa, I'd go crazy. I'd go bonkers, and I would maybe, people They can't live like that. They have to look at the whole world. The whole world is working. I mean, this whole office where everybody's working. You know, people can't do that. They can't, huh? Supposedly work. We'll talk about that in a second. That's the next Beis Halevi. That's the next Beis Halevi. What does working really do?
That's the next level of bitachon.
Yeah. AI, yeah. So bitachon is a way, and this is also Rav Dessler talks about in his section on bitachon, and he says this outright. Rav Dessler, he says, really, bitachon is you do enough until you feel calmed down. And now, don't do any more than that. Don't do any more than that, because you calm down now for above that. If you have enough to make a certain living, so now don't go beyond that, and have bitachon that all your needs above and beyond that will be taken care of. So that's the concept of bitachon. It's sort of like a sedative. Calm down. Calm down. You can do Hishtadlus is a sedative. You know, it's to calm you down and to give you hashgate. Bitachon is hashgate is being secure and calm with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now I can be calm with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and I can concentrate that Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now I can say, yeah, I'm working, but Kodesh Baruch Hu he's really making the money. Now I can say Kodesh Baruch Hu is really making the money. If I don't have the backup of my job, I'm not mentally able to say that. That's what the Brisker wrote. The Beis Halevi says. Where did this come from? So we're missing a very important yesod. Missing a very important yesod. I thought about this. And it's all based on a Mesilas Yesharim. Now I was warned, I'm warning everybody, because when I was a fresh younger man, so I learned the Mesilas Yesharim, and it was like that was my handbook. Mesilas Yesharim, you know, that is the handbook. Mesilas Yesharim is a handbook. It goes through, you know, it teaches you how to attain shleimus, and a person wants to be an Oived Hashem. So Mesilas Yesharim is a handbook. Go from step to step in your climbing the rungs to shleimus, to perfection in your avodas Hashem. So I started off with the Mesilas Yesharim, and there was a bacher came in. He was fresh from the street. He wasn't, you know, he was just toying with becoming frum. And I started learning the Mesilas Yesharim with him. And after one day of learning the Mesilas Yesharim with him, I never saw him again. And somebody told me that was a bad move. You don't learn the Mesilas Yesharim with a rookie like that. It's too heavy. So I'm warning you. But I think you're more. You're not beginners.
Mesilas Akumim, Rabbi, that's the free book.
Mesilas Yesharim says, we are put in this world. We were put in this world. Yesoid HaChasidus v'shorish ha'avodah ha'tamima. Everybody has avodah. Everybody is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you a job to do, an avodah. And we're supposed to do a certain, we're here with a tafkid in this world. And the main tafkid is she is buyer, I'm not going to go into that. They spend hours on it. What's the difference? You aspire, it should be clear to you, and it should be true to you, because something could be you could be misbuyer and know it, but you don't really believe it. That's also an issue. I mean, many times you can learn a sugya, you learn a musar concept, and it's very clear. I know exactly what he's saying. I don't believe it. It has to be yisbar v'yisamis etzalodim. What's your obligation in this world? What do you have to put your goal on? Your mabit, your magma, your magmosoi, and everything you're doing. Where are you going? Where are you going? I remember when I was newly married, and a friend of the family friend of the family came to visit Israel. Oh, let me go visit Eliezer. So he came to visit me, right? And he was a conservative Jew. He was, sort of, kacha kacha, right? So I said, so we were talking, and I was wet behind the ears, so I opened my mouth. I said, Harry, have you ever thought about why God created you? He looked at me. He says, not really. Not really. You never thought about it. People don't think about that. Why did God create? What do you mean God created me? I was born. I'm in this life. I got to get through it. I got to have as much fun as I can. And in the meanwhile, I got to make a living while I have fun. Why did God create me? Yeah. Why did God create you? Me. Right? A person has to know machoy vaso ba'ilama. He was put in this world with a job. Machoy vaso ba'ilama. Where is he going? What's his outlook? And then he goes through. A person wasn't created for this world. A person was created for the next world. Really, the next world This world is too hard. We suffer too much. Look at all the suffering that's going on. You can't say that God put us into this world for this world. Obviously, it's for the next world. And here, this is we're working to gain entrance into Olam Haba. That's the real goal. Okay, this world is a pros door. It's an entranceway to the next world. But the next world this world is like the coat room before the chasana hall. So that's the Mesilas Yesharim. That's a different vort. Based on that, so the Mesilas Yesharim says.
What happened to Harry though? He also didn't speak, or?
We had a nice conversation afterwards. He didn't change him. You can't, a person, you get to a certain age. I don't want to say what age it is.
Curmudgeonly, you become curmudgeon.
Yeah, that's why all the hatzlacha of the Baal Tshuva movement is with between 18 and 23.
Also, sometimes davka old people where you do change.
Oh, now old people, they've been through life and they begin realizing, I'm not going to live forever. I see my friends disappearing. It's like a checkerboard, and the players on the checkerboard are disappearing. I said, and you start getting serious about life. So yes, old people also start getting serious about life, but it's harder for them to change because they're already set in their ways, and also the mind is all clogged, and they can't really, they're not going to go very far in learning. You can't. But a young fellow, you get him into learning, and we have now hundreds of rabbonim who were Bali Tshuva, originally came from totally non-religious backgrounds, and now they're rabbonim, talmidei chachamim. I know some dayanim, the big people, and they were once nothing. So because you caught them at the age of 18, 19, they're fresh, and it clicks, the switch goes on, and then they fly. So that's why the Baal Tshuva movement is mostly going for the, high school, post-high school, college-age kids, because they're the ones who are most malleable. So the Mesilas Yesharim says, we have so much going on in Olam Hazeh, so many distractions in Olam Hazeh that are keeping us from understanding Machoy Vasa Ba'ilomai. So what do I do? What do I do? What's the key to concentrating and keeping my focus on his first line in the Mesilas Yesharim, Machoy Vasa Ba'ilomai? It took him 21 chapters to get to this. In chapter Chaf Aleph, all of a sudden he tells you, what do I do? I got distractions all over the place. He says, you need betochen. Betochen is what will help you concentrate and help you concentrate on focusing on what your goal in life is. Now, what is betochen? he says, now listen carefully, what betochen is. This is Mesil Shashorim, this is Yosef Chaim Lutzato. The Ramchal, Moshe Chaim Lutzato. Moshe Chaim Lutzato, I mean, he was big. Just remember, he had a chavrusa. I mean, they put him in Chayim and they found out he was learning with a malach, with a, you know, they thought he was going off, you know, off the deep end. He wasn't. He had a chavrusa who was teaching him all the soidas. He wrote. He was all the Mekubalim use him for the principles of Kabbalah. He outlined it fantastic. He was a fantastic masbir, and all the Mekubalim. I heard Yaakov Hillel quote him, you know, and his teachings are based on the Ramchal. Yashlich Yehovu al Hashem. What's betochen? Yashlich Yehovu al Hashem legamrei. That's real betochen. Not half-heartedly, but legamrei. Kashi yeda vaday I efshar sheyechser le'odem masha niksav loy. We're gonna follow through with this in the Beis Halevi. The Beis Halevi is based on this. On Rosh Hashanah, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah explains that your parnasa for this year, you need a certain amount of money, you need a certain amount of mullah, you need a certain amount of food, you have to have your expenses, you got to pay for the grocery bill, you got to pay the electric bill, the gas bill, the water bill, all the car repairs, you got everything's in there. Everything's in there. It's niksav on Rosh Hashanah how much you're going to make.
Rabbi, you told a story 3-4 weeks ago about a guy losing his car. So we got to be careful about the stories like that, right? Let's just, you know. And that was a kapara for his daughter. You know, there's a whole
Everything is niksav. Everything is set on Rosh Hashanah. Kamosha Chazal said, this is Chazal. We believe Chazal 100%. I don't really believe that, Rabbi. If Chazal say it, it's a problem. We have trouble absorbing these statements of Chazal. You know, I make the money. I make the living. And Chazal say it's not true. Whatever income you're supposed to get is already set on Rosh Hashanah. Kol mezoi noisav shel adam katsuvim lo mi Rosh Hashanah. Ein adam nogea b'muchen lechavero afilu kamale nimo. You can't. None of your competitors can affect you. You're worried about your competitors. You're worried about your competitors. A guy opened up a store next door, exactly the same, merchandise that you have. He's going into competition with you. Yeah, whatever it is. It's competition all over the place, right? You put an ad in the newspaper and then you look at when you open up the newspaper after you bought the ad, and right next to it is an ad for the competitor.
We have no competition.
Right? Nobody can touch your parnasa like a hairbreadth. Whatever you're supposed to get, you're going to get. A person, now really, since that's true, this is the problem. This is the problem. Really, a person could sit and do and not do anything. So, Rabbi, what do we got to go to work for? It's already set in Shemayim. What do I have to go to work for? Oh, Yoshe Batel. And the Gezerah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu determined for me, it'll happen anyway. It's going to happen. Whatever my income's supposed to be, I'm going to get. So what am I working for? There's a problem. Adam HaRishon was put in that situation where that was supposed to be the way he was going to live. Gan Eden. Olam Hazeh was going to be Gan Eden. But he blew it. Adam HaRishon blew it. And because of that, Kadosh Baruch Hu he calls it, this is Mesil Shom calls it a kanas. That's a very important word. I'm going to use that in a second. It's a kanas. It's a fine. A fine on humanity. It's a kanas on humanity. B'zeyas apecha toichal lechem. You're going to have to work hard in order to eat bread. And therefore, chayev adam, this is the other way around. What? This is the other way around. The Beis Halevi said that a person needs a heter to do Hishtadlus. The Mesilas Yesharim says, chayev adam l'hishtadel. So Rabbi Yishmael is right. A person is obligated to do Hishtadlus. Eize Hishtadlus. Now, how much Hishtadlus? Doesn't say how much. A person is obligated to do Eize Hishtadlus l'tzorach parnasosai, because that's what a Kosh Baruch Hu was going. So goes a Melech Elyon, and that's like paying your taxes.
So what would be the deal on people who receive Social Security and they just sit at home and don't do anything?
That's their gezerah. So what's possible? What are you talking about, me? I mean, during their lifetime. Wait. Yeah, if that's what occurs, if it works for him. Now the question is what he's supposed to be doing with his time. If it works for him and he's got a setup that he's got government subsidies or whatever, Social Security. Now, what are you doing sitting and reading the newspaper the whole day? Why are you playing on the computer games the whole day? Go to the kollel and go learn. Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Avodas Hashem. We're here in this world for Avodas Hashem. Kosh Baruch Hu gave you a present that you now don't have the obligation to go to an office and sweat and have all the aggravations of all you people who are badgering him right and left. And interpersonal, friction. It's very hard in the business world. Very hard in the business world. And people screwing you up and messing you up, and you're sitting at home with Social Security, and it's wonderful. Go sit and learn kollel. That's what kollel of retirees is for. They have kollel now. They have kollel of retirees. Go learn. Or a person, there are people, that's a different shayla. There are people who can't sit, they don't have any sitzfleisch. They don't have a head for...
What is sitzfleisch? Sitting down?
Sitzfleisch means the ability that my fleisch can sit. Sitzfleisch. My fleisch can sit and I can handle it. Some people are jumpy and they just can't, and they never, if you never learned how to, either you never learned how to learn, or he's got ADD, and he can't concentrate. He can't relate to the written word. I mean, I'm not going into who's who. There are people who it's really, really hard. The fact that the guys get ADD does not mean he can't sit and learn. Because if you read the biography of the Brisker Rav, he had ADD. And a lot of people with ADD, I'm not saying everybody with ADD, ADHD, whatever it is, ADHD, a lot of people with ADHD, a large percent of them are super smart. They're super smart, and if they apply themselves, they could become very, very big Talmidei Chachamim. But not everybody can do it. Whatever the background was and everything is. So what should he do? He's a very smart guy. I mean, you got to learn something during the day. You have to have a connection with Torah. But if you can't do it, so get involved in the Chesed organization. Go if Kiruv Rechoikim, Kiruv Kroivim. There's so much Chesed that has to be done. Look at Uri Lapiansky. I mean, he created a Yad Sorah. Huh? Now he's sick again. Never. That's why I thought of his name, because I saw his name in the newspaper. But he created a whole magnificent edifice of Yad Sorah, which is helping all of Eretz Yisrael with medical medical assistance, medical what do you call it, the machshirim, medical equipment. There's so many people. There's so many organizations. One of my Talmidim, I'm not going to say his name, is Hatzalah. One of the heads of Hatzalah is one of my Talmidim, and Hatzalah has created such a magnificent institution of saving lives. So there are a lot of things that a lot of people could do. Or get involved in Kiruv Krovim. There's so many people going off the derech. We need people that have, if they have a good ability to makarav people, makarav the Rechoikim, the people who are not religious, and makarav the Rekorovim, the people who are leaving the yeshiva. Bring them back in. There's so much chesed that could be done if he doesn't have the obligation of. He's like he's saying, if he's got the bracha that he doesn't have the obligation of working. Okay, let's get back to this. So the Beis Halevi. So the Mesilas Yesharim is saying a person is chayiv to do Hishtadlus, but doing Hishtadlus is not l'chatchila. L'chatchila, Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted us to sit, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu will take care of us, and we have to do whatever our avodas Hashem is. So the Beis Halevi turns it around. You should sit and do avodas Hashem, but you can't, because we live in Olam Hazeh, and the way we've been brought up, and the whole culture and whole society is all based on the concept, right, of making money. You have to make money in order to live. And it's being blasted into us every second of the day by all of our surroundings. You have to make money. And you see, if you don't make money, you can't pay the bills. And then you got the pressure of paying the bills, and you're afraid that, you never, I don't know if you ever had the electric company turn off the electricity, it happened to a couple of my neighbors. Electric company came and they turned off the electricity until he paid the bill. It's very uncomfortable.
I joined the PLO already, so they stopped shutting off the bill. They don't charge me also.
Yeah.
Palestinians look very bad.
So he says like this. He looks at, you have an obligation to have betochen because of the Mesilas Yesharim.
Is the sound up? Do you see the green light on that?
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, I see a green light. It's okay. So he says the real obligation of a person is to have betochen. You're going to get your money anyway. It's a gezerah min hashamayim. Elavas, it's a kanas. Right? Now.
Is the kanas a tanai?
It's like a tanai. Now, it doesn't mean.
So, if it's a tanai, then if I don't fulfill the tanai, then it won't help me just sitting around.
That's correct. Now, the question is, how much? Now, Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't say how much. He says there's a kanash you have to do Hishtadlus. Now, how much Hishtadlus? How much Hishtadlus? There's another Beis Halevi. Let me skip to the second Beis Halevi. The second Beis Halevi, it says, Vayhi miketz shnatayim yomim. He says, the end of 2 years, and Paro had a dream. Now, because Paro had a dream, and he needed an interpreter, and then that triggered off in the mind of the Sar Mashkim, that he remembered there was an interpreter, and they brought Yosef, and the rest is history. Yosef became the second in command of Mitzrayim, and Parshas Miketz, and Parshas Vayigash, and Vayechi. This is the rest is history. You heard how I said it? Paro had a dream. Therefore, they called in Yosef after 2 years. No. The pasuk says, the pasuk is very specific in its order. Vayhi miketz shnatayim yomim. There was a gezerah on Yosef for 2 years. Because the gezerah was up, therefore Paro had a dream, and therefore they called in Yosef.
Even more than that, he had the dream for 2 years every single day, but he forgot it every day. He only remembered it when the 2 years were done.
Everything is min hashamayim, but it was in order to, because only after 2 years was Yosef's gezerah of 2 years up. And then Yosef Yosef, if he hadn't said, remember me, he would have gotten out in 3 days. It was a nevuah. He understood that what he had interpreted, the Sarah Mashkin, was that the Sarah Mashkin was going to be elevated. He saw this as a siman min hashamayim. That's why he told the Sarah Mashkin. It's a siman min hashamayim that I'm going to get out in 3 days. He's going to go and he's going to mention me to Paro. So he told the Sarah Mashkin, remember me to Paro. Because he didn't have betochen, he did Hishtadlus. Now, which answers up in a certain way. It answers up the Beis Halevi asked the question. First, the Medrash says he's the biggest Baal B'tochen, he's a paradigm of Baal B'tochen. Then we blast him for asking the Sarah Mashkin. He didn't have B'tochen. If you've been in prison for 10 years, and it wasn't a prison like, our prisons today, they have TV and they have hot food. It was a dungeon. It's called a bar. It's a hole in the ground, right? That's what it was. Terrible. It was a terrible place to be, and you've been there for 10 years, and finally he saw this guy had a dream, and he saw in the dream that he's going to get out. Wouldn't you ask him to put in a good word for Paro? Of course you would. Yosef was such a big Baal B'tochen. That's what, because Yosef was such a big Baal B'tochen, he was on such a madrega, he shouldn't even have asked the Sar HaMashkiv to put in a good word for him.
No, you're supposed to ask once, not twice.
So there's machloikas. Some say he shouldn't have asked at all, therefore he got 2 years. Rav Chaim Brisker, they asked Rav Chaim Brisker, if he would have asked only once, would have he have gotten 1 year? So Chaim Brisker answered, no. Once was proper Hishtadlus. Once was proper Hishtadlus. Twice? You don't trust the guy to remember you? Oh, you're trusting this guy. You're trusting this Baal Gaiva, this egocentric, self-centered person, this Egyptian. You're trusting him to remember you? I'll show you. He's going to remember you. And because he remembers you, you're going to get out after 2 years. So Kosh Baruch Hu made it that he forgot for 2 years. And after 2 years, Paro had a dream, because 2 years was up. Because Paro had a dream now, he remembered. It triggered off. Kosh Baruch Hu made it trigger in his head and remembered. And then he told Paro, and so the Sarah Mashkin was the one who got him out. He did remember him on Kosh Baruch Hu's terms, not on your terms. You wanted him to remember you in 3 days? No, he's going to remember you in 2 years. So we see from here that things are going to happen in their time. At the end of 2 years, then everything's the whole chain of events happened. Why did Paro have the dream? That Paro had the dream in order to get Yosef out. Why did he have the dream in order to get Yosef out? Because 2 years was up. So it's the opposite of what we think. Because Paro had the dream, therefore Yosef got... No, not because Paro had the dream. Because the 2 years were up. Therefore Paro had the dream in order to get Yosef out. Which is the cause and which is the effect? Person thinks, because I worked hard, because I'm so smart, because I took a course in business philosophy, business management, because I have good connections, therefore I'm making money. No. It's set by you, the Beis Halevi says, it's set for you every year how much money you're going to make. Now, in order to make that money, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has covered over with Alpi nature. Has to cover it over. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a pasuk in Eikev. Ki Hashem nosan lochem chayil. Laseis kol forget yeah. Nosan lochem chayil. Targum Onkelos says, What is nosan lechem chayil? Gives you koyach to do all to do your parnasa. He will give you the ability to be a super duper farmer. So Pargamunkla says he'll give you an eitzah in your head how to invest your money properly. It's Mufurish Targamunklas. I discussed this once. He gives you the eitzah. Who gave you the eitzah? When you get an eitzah, ooh, that's a great idea. Who put that eitzah in your head? Right? You open up a business and you look at, oh, that's a great name for the business. Right? Ice. It's a wonderful name for a business. Ice. Right? Who put that name in your hood? Who put that idea in your head? Who? All of a sudden you bump into somebody. Just happen to meet the right person at the right time and you made a business deal and fantastic. And then you're set. No. It was decreed. Because it was decreed, you're going to get a certain amount of money. So Kodesh Baruch Hu has to enclose whatever your parnasa is in a natural fashion. So he makes the whole scene in order that it should come out and you make that money. You did nothing. You did nothing. When it comes to making parnasa, you did nothing. Now, you worked hard. You're working an 8-hour day, 10-hour day, 12-hour day. And you're working hard. That's because I worked hard and I'm industrious. That's why I'm making money. You did nothing except pay taxes. You paid your kanas. You paid a mas.
You look at it as taxes or...
He says mas.
Right, but
What is? So give me another term.
I have another term. I want to know how it goes in the things.
Yeah.
It says in the Mishnah, there is those kind of bullshit about it.
What are you doing with the rest of your time? That's the question.
No, I realized something very interesting. When you go to Rook or to business or whatever, it puts you into a system.
Okay.
And you have to figure out how you control yourself, how you grow.
Because there are rules, but there are rules of nature.
Right.
It's like rules of nature.
Now,
so
if you
every
run away
business,
from work-
every business has its rules.
Right, but if you run away from it, you lose it. Someone that's not connected to the world, something doesn't. It's like living in a different dimension and
That's
like
also
ignoring part of the rules of the world.
okay.
And I see that through business, you can grow, you can become a better man, you know how to
That's
get
the problem.
better things to do.
So Hishtadlus is yes, we follow natural cause and effect. That's natural cause and effect. There's certain mentality in the business. There's certain science to the business. There's certain techniques in the business, and you have to follow those techniques and act normal.
Why?
You have to, because that's what a Kodesh Baruch Hu call asher tasa.
Why?
Because that's the kadas. That's what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants. Yes.
There's no different reason for it.
It's Mesil Shishon.
No, it's a mas, not a kanas. It's a mas.
No. Mesil Shem used Mesil Shem used both words.
Oh, okay, no difference.
He said kanas, and he also said it's a mas. It's a tax that everybody has to pay. Really, you should be able to make money without doing it, but we can't because Adam Arishan. Therefore, we have to be involved in business or whatever, right? A parnasa. In order to be involved in parnasa, I have to be normal. You have to be normal. Don't do stupid things.
Yeah, but also in Hishtadlus, there is like a conflict. Why? Because in business, you always can learn more.
Yeah.
The question is, maybe stay stupid. Do whatever you know as your knowledge today, and that's your
That's
Hishtadlus. Why you need to go learn business? Why you need to go
There
learn
are
business?
people who have made money even though they're stupid. I heard from a certain shir, a rav, and he had a Talmud when he was a high school teacher, and he had a Talmud who was the guy was dumb. He was dumb. He met him 30 years later, and he was a millionaire, and he had clothing stores all over the place. So he said, how'd you do that? How'd you become a millionaire in clothing? He said, I don't know. they told me I should buy material and set it at 10% more. So I bought a suit at $100 and I sold it at $200.
One of my favorite people.
It depends who you are. For him, that's his Hishtadlus with the cup that he has. You with your cup, you have to do more.
No,
but
I teach business. I'm wasting people's time.
no, that's called normal. Yeah, that's called normal. You have to act normal. We have to be normal. The only thing is, how much time do you spend on your business? Now, so the Beis Halevi, we're running out of time. I'll just give you the punchline of the Beis Halevi is, if a person does a certain amount of Hishtadlus. I'll tell you, this is Yisro Brag. He had a Talmud. Talmud came and said he wants to sit and learn, but he can't sit and learn because he's got a good business. The business is going, and then it's just eating up his time, and he can't sit and learn. He's getting older, and he wants to start. So he asked him, in your schedule during the day, if you worked 15 minutes less, would you make any less money? 15 minutes is not going to make a big difference. No, make any difference. So it's usher for you to work those 15 minutes. You have to leave work 15 minutes earlier and go sit in your car and learn a sefer. Or go to Beis Medrash, learn a sefer, or go to Mincha Ma'ariv early and learn a sefer. You have to learn. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. After a month or two, so he comes back to him, says, how's it going? Yeah. If you would take off another 15 minutes, would it matter? Would it really matter to your income? No. Half an hour. Half an hour. At the end of 6 months, he was down to 4 hours a day. And he was
Making the same money.
He was down to making the same money. Making the same money.
That's not exaggerating.
He was making the same money. So he said, but I have a problem. My partner is yelling at me. He says, you're not working. I'm working 8 hours a day, and you're working 4 hours a day. That's not fair. He said,
It's kosher.
yeah. Right? Says, that's not fair. It's not fair. So he says, what do you care? Am I bringing the same amount of money? Yeah, but if you would work 8 hours a day, you'd bring in double. Because he had a partner. I said, therefore he's making the same money. What's the big deal? I mean, he's got a job. Right?
When someone stage, you have to start thinking about
If you have a shop,
So the Chafetz Chaim,
I knew a shop, I want to tell you, I knew a shop in Rochemstrasse,
yeah,
Goldstein.
yeah.
It was like a hardware store. At 6:30, every night, he'd say, everybody out the store, I've got a share. 6:30 going, if you want to buy some more stuff, there's another competitor down the road, you can go to him. I closed at 6:30, everybody had to go out the store 6:30. Goes famous hardware store on Rochemstrasse.
Someone asked the Chafetz Chaim.
But Chaim used to close the store every day when he got to his income.
Someone asked the Chafetz Chaim. So he says, I have a seder in the morning. I learned Daf Yomi, whatever they learned, but it's I can't.
I put notes on the door. He's dead.
So that's the second. That's the other Chafetz Chaim. There's another mice with the Chafetz Chaim, but they asked the Victor Miller. That's the mice with the Chafetz Chaim. They asked the Victor Miller. So he went to a Victor Miller. I'm telling you, from this generation, he asked the Victor Miller. He says, I got a seder in the morning, but it's I can't. So Victor Miller says, you think HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to cause you is going to cause you a hefsid because you want to sit and learn, and you're going to lose out on your parnasa? You got a certain amount of parnasa is going to come in this year, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take it away because you want to sit and learn that hour? Are you crazy? Don't give up that hour or two. That's your Seder. Keep your Seder. Now I'll tell you now your story with the guy's dead. The Chavetz Chaim says over the Maisa that there was a fellow. He was, he's getting a little gray. Started getting gray, like we talked about. When you start getting gray, you start thinking about what's going to be, right? What's going to be. So he says, I want to start, getting ready for the next world. So I want to sit and learn. He was, his business, he was eating up his time. He couldn't even go to Minyan. He couldn't do anything. So he decided he's going to go to Minyan. He went to the Minyan, 7 o'clock. He davened. And then he stayed in the Beis Medrash for 2 hours afterwards till 10 o'clock. And then he went to the store. So he walked into the store and his wife said, "Where you been? The customers were here already. And everybody's looking for you. We can't run a business like this." He gave some sort of cockeyed teretz, And then the next day, the same story. And he kept on trying to avoid his wife. He says, "Well, he pushed her aside. I got to take care of this customer now." So his wife, she was furious. So next day she went and tracked him down. And she asked people, "Where is he?" "He's in the Beis Medrash." She went to the Beis Medrash. "Are you crazy? The store is full of people. We need you in the store. You're going to lose your cup. The competitor is going to take everybody away." My dear wife, if the Malach HaMavis would come now and take me away, can you complain to him that there are clients in the store and I have to go to the store and you can't take me away? When the Malach HaMavis comes, and there's no terutzim, and therefore, listen. So just realize, every morning, the Malach HaMavis took me away. I'm not here for the store. And then at 10 o'clock, all of a sudden, there's Tchias HaMesim, and be happy I'm here. And that's the way. That's the attitude we have to have.
One has to have a deadline.
There has to be, okay. Deadline. And I give everybody a bracha that they should have a good parnasa and have time to sit and learn, and kavei itum l'Torah, and everybody should be gebenched.
Maybe we should have a 10-hour week. 10 days.